So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a very peculiar type of build that it's very broken, it's very overpowered, it's going to deal lots and lots of damage, and then it is going to take advantage, it's going to leverage. As a matter of fact, this is all based on the madness mechanic. So this is a madness build. That is everything that this is going to do. The highlights and the things is that, well, madness basically, I'm going to have a separate video to explain madness to you, but in general we're taking advantage of everything that it's going to give to us as a benefit. So madness, what that does is that it gives you more damage, but you also receive more damage. If you take some specific certain perks that we're going to be taking for the build, it's going to furthermore enhance your deadliness capabilities, your skills, your damage, and also survivability, believe it or not. And the one thing that I like about madness is that you can also temper it, or well, tamper with it, so that you always have madness active at all times. There's going to be some downsides. This is kind of like a risk-reward type of build, but as you can see on the screen, like the damage capabilities and output that you can have with this guy is just tremendously amazing. The one cool thing that I like about it as well is that you're going to be able to be spamming, and essentially what you're going to be doing more often than not 100% of the time is that you're going to be spamming the weapon art, and that is going to be enhanced by your madness. There is one thing that I believe that some people will not like, and that is that we're going to sacrifice one mechanic of the game, which is tempering. You're not going to be able to temper your weapon with this build, because as you can see right in here, the core of this build, the essence, everything about this build is swapping weapon. So tempering your weapon requires for you to use the temper needles, and the actual upgrades that you get from that, it's just when you are using that needle. That needle is going to disappear as soon as you change or you swap to different weapons, and since we're going to be swapping back and forth our weapons right in here, then that's not going to be ideal. So the first thing that I advise that you should have as a must, this is for sake of economy and this being an early version of the build, this is early mid-game build that's very powerful. You are going to require to use the very same specific kind of weapon, because we do not want to branch out into something different. Later on I will show you how can you branch out into something different once you're into the later stages of the game, or maybe New Game Plus, to furthermore enhance the damage right in here. But essentially you're going to need to have two different weapons of the same weapon type category. So for this to work, this is a very general build that is going to work with any given weapon. So as you can see, the weapons that I have right in here, I could be using like any of these guys right in here, of the twin blades that I have right here. I do have spears, I do have swords. All of this is going to work just fine, provided that you have the same type of weapon, at least for the early stages of the game. For this showcase particularly, I'm using the longsword, and I do have the Flamebringer, which you cannot get until later on in the game, but you do start with the Cloud Frost Edge. And also the first boss that you kill that is going to give you the tempering mechanic is going to give you the Lashing Whip, I believe, and if not, it's going to be on the same area, so this is achievable very early. So for our impetus repository that we're going to need, there's going to be a couple of things that are going to be major for this build, especially if you're playing this early on. And that is going to be everything that's going to give you madness, and you can find that right in here. The Swift Resilience, the Conversion, and the Steel Resolve. Also, you have the Health Siphon, and that is basically everything you need. Like this guys right in here, this is going to be the start of the build. Later on you can build upon it, but let's actually talk real fast what this is going to do. So essentially, while you are above 50% madness, you deal more damage with your swift draws, which is swapping your weapon, like changing your weapon. It's going to give you more damage while you are on the madness mechanic. So essentially, The Swift Resilience is going to give you hyper armor while you are above 50% madness. And it's also going to, alongside that hyper armor, it's going to increase your defense. Meaning that every time that you swap your weapon, in this case we have 2 long swords, you are going to have hyper armor, you're going to receive less damage. Remember that while you have madness, you receive more damage, so this is very, very useful. And then we have conversion. While you're 50% above madness, it's going to increase the damage of that weapon swap that we have right in there. And also, on 90%, the swift draw, which is basically swapping that weapon while mid-combat, that is going to increase the damage that much more. So this is like basically the core essence of everything. This is not necessarily needed, but I like to have it. While you're above 50% madness, every time that you have that you deflect with your weapon, you gain 1 stack of Skyborn Might. Remember that the Skyborn Might is what you need to be able to use the swap weapons. Finally, the health siphon, this thing right in here. You need this because every time that you finish a combo with your weapon, that is going to restore health, and this actually pairs up with the combo that you have for using your Skyborn Might to swap weapon. Also, this conversion that it's going to increase the damage is also going to heal us back whenever we deal damage. So let's just do a recap. Thanks to this, and if you complete the combo and you have like the proper setup right in here, you're going to have hyper armor, you're going to have increased defense, you're going to have increased damage. Also, that increased damage is going to heal you, and if you complete the combo after swapping the weapon, it's going to heal you for a second time. Like, that is absurdly and completely and utterly busted. So that's the base. Now we need a way to increase our Skyborn Might, and that is going to be dependent on the weapon as well. The Sword Saint, every second hit of your weapon is going to give you Skyborn Might. So this could lead you to an infinite damage dealing combo, because every time that you swap, because of how we have built our madness right in here, you continue the combo, because swapping the weapon is going to enter into hyper armor, it's going to deal more damage, it's going to heal you while you're doing your combo, and then completing the combo is going to give you more Skyborn Might, so that at the end of the combo, when you have done the final slash, then you can rinse and repeat, switch your weapon, rinse and repeat, switch your weapon, rinse and repeat, and that is going to always be healing you, giving you hyper armor, and you're going to be dealing lots and lots of damage. For the skill tree on itself, as a basis right in here on a fairly high level character on mid-game, you want to be focusing on the stuff that your weapon has for scaling. And more often than not, these weapons are going to have scaling for strength and agility. You will see that the points that I have been getting right in here are for strength and agility, because this is what I have been maxing out. I also been getting like endurance and things like that, just trying to max out the actual weapon tree for the category that you're going to be using. I do want to give you another example. It's also very, very, very powerful to have this build with, for example, with the long swords, because the basic one-handed swords, because they have biding time. And biding time is essentially going to give you Skyborn Might every so often, and it's going to give you charges for celerity. If you have celerity, you're going to pair that up with the unbroken focus right in here, because that biding time is not going to go below 3 stacks, and that is going to mean that you're going to be getting Skyborn Might like a maniac just by standing there. That means that with 100 swords, you can be spamming and spamming and spamming that much more often the weapon swap. And the weapon swap, remember, gives you hyper armor, gives you defense, gives you damage, gives you healing. It's just nuts. And another one, cool one, is also with the Feather Chaser for the daggers, because they have clash. Every time that you clash and you do like, it's going to count, I believe, as a deflect, and that is going to give you Skyborn Might. But also, every time that you have a successful clash with your enemies, you're going to get more Skyborn Might, meaning that you can then again swap back and forth, back and forth, back and forth these things to continue the combo. The ones that I do not believe to be that good specifically for this type of build is going to be the ball heart right in here, because it takes too much for you to build Skyborn Might right in here. Also the same goes for the axes, because the fourth attack of an axe light attack combo gives you, yes, it gives you 3 stacks of Skyborn Might, but it takes like too long, and it could still work. Like, don't get me wrong, it could still work, because it's going to give you at the end of the day 3 stacks of that Skyborn Might, and that is going to be amazing. But if you plan the combo, like for example with the Sword Saint, it's just basically swap the weapon, 2 strikes, finish the combo, swap the weapon, and that is infinite. You're always going to have the Skyborn Might, you're not limited. Now, bummer, like I mentioned, like I said, the tempering, you're not going to be using it. It's a shame that you're not going to be using it, but the problem is that you will always be swapping weapon. Your most damage, your hyper armor, your defense, everything comes from swapping weapon, and you won't be swapping weapon like a maniac. That's going to deal you tremendous amounts of damage. It also deals tremendous amounts of posture damage. But that's going to get rid of the tempering. So that's why when we go right in here, you will notice that I don't take any of the temper skills right in here, because they're going to go to waste. You're not going to be tempering your weapon. That is the downside about this build. Another downside about this build is that also your stuff that you have right in here, it's going to have to be divided, like your runes or your benedictions, your blessings right in here. They are going to be divided in between your weapons, and you're never really going to be aware, like, because of how fast everything is going to be, you're never really going to be aware what is it that you're using. But as you can see right in here, I have stuff that makes sense at the very least for me right in here, because I have increased potency of blocks and clashes, which is what we're using right in here. We have the increased the potency of the counter moves, because we are using counter moves at least with the longsword. Now, I did mention that I was going to tell you how to increase this even more. For the early stages and mid stages of the game, this is mid stages of the game, you can see that the build as we have it crafted right in here, and because our upgrade stuff right in here, it's going to just be on that one weapon. Later on, if you have the resources, if you have the skill points, you should by all means divide this into 2 different things, because that is going to increase your actual ways of getting strength. I have already capped my strength right in here. I can't get any more strength, I can't get any more agility. So that's why you want to be getting that strength that scales the damage of your weapon, and the agility that scales the damage of your weapon with a different type of weapon category. And it does not matter, because at the end of the day, all of the melee weapons, aside from some of the longswords, they all scale just out of strength and agility. Some of them also scale with feathering, which is something that you need to have into account. And but yeah, that's ideally how you want to go about it. Now, my favorite combo that I like to use to basically no-brain through anything right in here to take advantage of my hyper armor, my Skyborn Might, and the damage and healing that I received. This is something that, like you saw previously, something that we can do to out-heal even high damaging elite enemies. So you basically do a light attack and a light attack, because that is going to give you natively, at least for the longsword, 1 charge of the Skyborn Might. And then you use the input for the weapon swap, but it's not like the basic weapon swap. It has to be like the L1 press for the weapon swap, for the active high damaging weapon swap. And at that time you can continue with 2 light attacks, and that's something that you're going to rinse and repeat infinitely. Remember to be using the highest resistance. This also works perfectly on bosses. Use high resistance stuff so that you can be trading blows with your hyper armor with the enemies that you're fighting. But essentially that's it. Light attack, that gives you Skyborn Might, and then weapon swap. Light attack while you're doing the weapon swap, that gives you Skyborn Might again, and then light attack, and that's something that you're going to rinse and repeat until the end of time, so that you can deal vast amounts of damage and like quite literally, with this build as I have it right in here, I quite literally never heal while exploration and on bosses. If I feel that I need to play it safe on bosses, then I just dodge for a perfect dodge and then use my weapon swap with hyper armor and high damage whenever I need, like you can see right in here. It's just so busted. Anyways, if you like the content, so like and video super appreciated, and also you that you're a gorgeous and beautiful person, you're a gorgeous and beautiful person, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, have a beautiful day, goodbye.